She was there when he had nothing. She carried him through nights of doubt, prayed over his dreams, and worked double shifts so he could chase the court lights. Every step of his rise was built on her sacrifice. But the moment the world called his name, the moment money and fame poured in, he decided she no longer belonged. Success twisted into arrogance. Love decayed into betrayal. And Kate Matthews, the woman who gave everything, became a burden Drew Martin wanted erased. But this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about what happens when the past refuses to stay buried. Kate Matthews grew up in a modest working-class neighborhood in Houston. Her father, a postal worker, was steady and disciplined. Her mother, a homemaker who later stitched clothes to help with bills, believed in quiet dignity. They weren't wealthy, but their children were raised on principles: work hard, do right, and never abandon family. Kate, the second of 3 children, was the peacemaker. She wasn't the loudest or the most popular in school, but she was dependable, the one teachers trusted to collect homework or help younger students. Friends remembered her loyalty, the kind of friend who would share her last dollar or defend you even when you were wrong. In high school, she joined track not for trophies, but to discipline herself. During her senior year, she volunteered at a community clinic. Watching nurses move with compassion and urgency stirred something deep within her. By the time she graduated in 1994, she knew her calling. She wanted to be a nurse. Not for prestige, but because she wanted to steady people when their world was crumbling. College tested her resilience. Without family money, she worked part-time as a waitress while studying at a state university. Nights blurred into mornings, her legs aching after shifts, but she never quit. Professors admired her quiet determination. She wasn't loud in class, but she was always the one who stayed after to ask thoughtful questions. By 1998, she earned her nursing degree. The hospital became her battlefield: 12-hour shifts, rotating schedules, life and death pressure. Yet she thrived. Colleagues called her calm under pressure. Patients remembered her years later, recalling the way she looked them in the eye and said, "You're going to get through this." Kate was strong in her work, but her personal life wasn't as steady. In her late 22nd, Kate met Mike, a rugged construction foreman with an easy charm. After years of carrying others, she thought she'd found someone who could carry her. They married in a small church wedding, bought a modest home, and dreamed of children. But cracks formed quickly. Mike had grown up in a traditional home, expecting dinner at 6, a wife who waited at the door. Kate's devotion to nursing clashed with those expectations. She worked long hours, sometimes stumbling home too tired to cook. Arguments started with sighs and silences, but grew into something sharper. By 34, the marriage was over, not with a blowout fight, but with the slow erosion of unmet expectations. Divorce papers came like a diagnosis she already knew but hadn't wanted to face. Kate buried herself in work: Christmas shifts, overnight duties, anything to keep busy. When friends suggested she date again, she smiled faintly and said she didn't have time. What she didn't admit was the truth. She was afraid of giving everything again only to be told it wasn't enough. In 2010, Kate was 34 when she met Drew Martin, 12 years her junior. He was lanky, broke, and desperate, a young man with big dreams of basketball but no means to chase them. Where others saw a struggling boy, Kate saw potential. Her family wasn't supportive. Her sister warned, "Katie, he's using you. He's just a boy." Their mother echoed the sentiment, "You deserve someone who gives back, not someone who only takes." But Kate made her choice. She poured her savings, her time, and her heart into Drew's dream. She cooked meals to fuel his workouts, worked extra shifts to cover gym fees, and drove long distances to watch him play in obscure tournaments. Love, in her eyes, meant sacrifice. And no sacrifice was too great. She even gave up the deepest parts of herself. Kate became pregnant more than once during their early years together. Each time, Drew insisted it wasn't the right time. He had to focus on making it first. He promised that once the NBA called, they'd start a family. Against her own desire, Kate gave in. She walked into clinics alone, made decisions that left invisible scars, and returned home in silence. Each time, she told herself it was temporary. That one day, all of this would mean something. Her friends grew worried. One coworker asked her bluntly, "Katie, when's the last time you did something for yourself? You've given him your money, your home, even your body. Kate forced a smile. This is what love looks like. When it works out, it'll be worth it. But she couldn't see how her sacrifices had become expectations, demanded more than appreciated. By 2017, after years of relentless work, Drew's dream finally came true. He was drafted into the NBA. Kate sat in the back of the draft room, tears in her eyes as his name was called. "We did it," she whispered to herself. To her, his victory was theirs, the proof that every sleepless night and every sacrifice had meaning. Drew hugged her, kissed her cheek in front of flashing cameras, and called her his biggest supporter. For a fleeting moment, Kate believed the struggle was over, that their future together was secure. But fame has a way of reshaping people, not overnight, but in layers. With success came new friends, teammates, agents, promoters, influencers. Drew, once grateful for Kate's sacrifices, began mocking her age in subtle ways. "You don't get these TikTok trends, Katie. You're old school," he'd laugh, while younger women giggled nearby. Soon he told her she didn't fit the image. She wasn't invited to team dinners or sponsorship events. "Stay home, Katie. These crowds won't understand us," he said, dismissing her. Younger women lingered outside arenas, slipping him their numbers, smiling for selfies. Drew brushed it off with a grin. "It's part of the life, Katie. Don't take it serious." But Kate did. Every giggle, every glance reminded her that she was growing older while he was just beginning to bloom. The breaking point came one night after a game. Cameras flashed as reporters swarmed Drew. Kate stood near the tunnel, holding a jacket she had brought for him. He spotted her, leaned close, and whispered coldly, "Not tonight, just go home, I'll call you." Then he walked away with teammates and young women trailing behind. Kate stood frozen, dismissed like a stranger. In 2019, during an off-season trip to Miami, Drew's world collided with Salome Williams, an Instagram influencer who embodied youth and luxury. She slid into his life effortlessly, her curated lifestyle of champagne, yachts, and designer handbags matching the image he craved. Drew told her about Kate, framing her as a supportive figure from his past, but an obstacle to his future. "She sounds like baggage," Salome said with a shrug. "If she's holding you back, why keep her around?" Drew didn't argue. For the first time, he spoke of Kate not as his foundation, but as a chain he wanted to cut. By 2020, Salome was appearing courtside at games, posting cryptic captions about new beginnings. Drew whispered, promises to her about a future that didn't include Kate. "She stole years from me, but she won't steal my future." Back home, Kate felt the ground shifting. Drew was distant, secretive. His phone was always face down. Trips out of town came with vague excuses. When she asked questions, he snapped. "You don't understand what this life takes. I can't babysit your feelings while I'm building an empire." The man who once clung to her encouragement now treated her as an anchor dragging him down. Kate begged him not to erase her. "Drew, I gave you everything. Please don't act like I never existed." But his eyes no longer softened. His silence was louder than words. At night, she stood before the mirror, staring at the lines on her face, whispering to herself, "What if I don't matter anymore?" Her breakdown was quiet, the kind that erodes a soul piece by piece. And Drew, already lost to someone else, watched without sympathy. By 2021, in whispered conversations behind tinted car windows, he told Salome what he truly believed. "She's holding me hostage. She thinks because she paid for me when I had nothing, she owns me now. I can't breathe with her around." Salome's response was cold. "Then why let her? You're Drew Martin now. You don't need her. Baggage can always be dropped." Drew didn't argue. In her words, he found validation for the darkest thought he had ever considered. No financial claims, no emotional ties, no one to remind him of the years when he was powerless. That was how Drew Martin thought of Kate. With every secret meeting, his conversations with Salome Williams grew darker. At first, she tested the waters, asking, "But what about her family? Wouldn't they suspect?" Drew brushed it off with arrogance. "They don't care. She cut them off years ago for me. Nobody's coming for her. Nobody's watching." His words revealed not just cruelty, but calculation. To Drew, Kate was already a ghost. All that remained was to make her body disappear. Salome leaned into that vision, intoxicated by the promise of finally being the only woman at his side. Divorce never crossed Drew's mind. Divorce meant settlements, money, Kate walking away with half of what he had earned. That was unacceptable. Salam didn't want him sharing his wealth or his spotlight with a woman she saw as washed up. So, they reached a chilling conclusion. Kate had to die. By spring 2021, Drew's phone became their tool of conspiracy. Hidden texts, deleted call logs, even notes disguised as reminders, all proof of a plan built piece by piece. One message from Salam read, "When it's done, we'll finally be free." Drew replied, "Soon. I'll make it clean." As summer drew near, Drew rehearsed his role. At home, he smiled at Kate sometimes, even kissed her cheek before leaving. To her, they were fragile signs of reconciliation. In truth, they were hollow rehearsals for betrayal. On his phone's calendar, the 15th of August was circled in red. The word beside it, clear. The 15th of August, 2021 began like any other day for Kate Matthews. She woke up still clinging to hope that beneath Drew's coldness, there remained a piece of the man she loved. That afternoon, he surprised her with words she had prayed for. "Maybe it's time to work things through. Let's go for a drive tonight." To Kate, it was a lifeline. She dressed simply in a white blouse and jeans, carrying no suspicion, only hope. But a block away, hidden behind tinted windows, Salam Williams waited with her phone ready, recording proof. Drew drove calmly, deflecting Kate's questions about where they were going. Finally, at a quiet riverbank, he parked. Salam followed, hidden but close. Kate stepped onto damp grass, her heart pounding, not with fear, but with hope. She believed this was the moment Drew would finally see her again. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. "Drew, what are you doing?" He didn't answer. He fired. Once. Twice. 5 times in total. Kate crumpled to the ground, blood soaking her blouse, her breath shallow. Salam watched from her car, emotionless, recording as the woman who built Drew's life was erased. To them, it wasn't murder, it was erasure. Drew dragged Kate's body to the water and heaved her into the river. Hand in hand with Salam, he whispered, "It's done." But beneath the surface, Kate was not gone. That same night, Harold Johnson, a retired veteran, was out on the river checking his nets. He heard the gunshots, he saw the car. After it left, he rowed toward the rippling water and found her, floating, limp, but breathing. He pulled her into his boat, pressing his jacket against her wounds. "Stay with me. You're not going anywhere tonight." By dawn, Kate was hidden in the home of Clara, a nurse Harold trusted. The police were not called. Harold knew Drew's fame would shield him. For now, secrecy meant survival. And in that secrecy lay another truth. Kate was pregnant with Drew's child. By morning, Drew Martin was performing grief for cameras. He went to the police himself, trembling voice rehearsed. "Please, find my wife. She means everything to me." The media rallied behind him. Neighbors joined searches. He wept at vigils. Fans praised his strength. To the world, Drew was a husband in agony. Fame shielded him. Meanwhile, Salam posted cryptic captions on Instagram. "Sometimes you have to let go of the past to embrace the future." Followers cheered. To her, Kate's absence was not tragedy, but opportunity. But Drew and Salam were not alone. Harold knew the truth. Clara tended Kate in silence. And Kate, scarred but alive, carried proof of both survival and betrayal inside her. By March 2022, Drew's career had rebounded. Endorsements returned. His public image sparkled again. He felt untouchable. That month, he and Salam planned their wedding, a lavish Atlanta spectacle on the 11th of March, with roses flown in from overseas and celebrities in attendance. For Drew, it was victory. For Salam, it was arrival. On Instagram, she teased her new life. "Finally, it's our time." To Kate's old friends, the posts stung. To Kate, watching from hiding, they were fuel. The 11th of March, 2022. The ballroom glittered. Drew stood in his white suit, Salam walking down the aisle in crystals. Cameras flashed, guests whispered about fairy tale love. Then the doors opened. Kate Matthews stepped inside, scarred, bent but unbroken, her rounded belly undeniable. Gasps swept the room. Guests froze. Reporters rushed in. The bride's smile collapsed into rage. Drew's face turned pale, frozen at the sight of the woman he thought the river had taken. Kate walked slowly down the aisle. Every step was deliberate, every gaze fixed on Drew. When she reached the front, she spoke, voice steady. "You thought the river would take me. You thought you could bury me and walk into forever without me. But here I am, alive, and carrying the proof of everything you tried to destroy." Chaos erupted, guests scrambled, cameras flashed, officers stormed in. Kate pointed directly at Drew. "That's the man who tried to kill me." Handcuffs replaced his wedding ring. Salem screamed as she was dragged away. The footage flooded every screen in America. The world turned. Sponsors dropped him overnight. Hashtags demanding justice trended worldwide. The 17th of October, 2022. Harris County Courthouse overflowed with reporters, victims' advocates, and fans still stunned by the truth. Kate testified first. Her voice cracked, then steadied. She spoke of sacrifices, of betrayal, of the night Drew lured her to the river and fired 5 bullets into her chest. She ended with quiet conviction. "I survived because God wouldn't let him win." Then came Harold Johnson. Calm, unwavering, he recounted finding her in the water. "I couldn't leave her there. I knew she still had a fight in her." Forensic experts confirmed the evidence. Bullets, casings, drag marks. But the most damning was Salem's phone, messages planning Kate's erasure. "Once she's gone, it's just us." The defense tried to discredit witnesses, but Drew's cold smirks in court undid him. He showed no remorse, confirming Kate's words that he never saw her as a person, only as a problem to be solved. The jury deliberated briefly. The verdict: guilty. Drew Martin, once adored by millions, sentenced to life without parole. Salem Williams, 25 years for conspiracy and obstruction. Kate trembled but stood tall as the sentences were read. Reporters swarmed outside. She told them simply, "I walked into that river as his victim. I walk out of this courthouse free." In the months after the trial, Kate returned to her old home, scarred but free. She gave birth to her son, Emmanuel, God with us. His life, she believed, was proof that even in the darkest hour, life insisted on breaking through. She rocked him at night, whispering promises he would never feel discarded the way she had. By day, she rebuilt her life. Returning to nursing, she was welcomed with tears and awe. Patients recognized her as the woman who survived. But Kate didn't wear her survival as a badge. She worked quietly, compassion deeper than before. Kate Matthews walked out of a story she was never supposed to leave. She survived bullets, betrayal, and the river meant to erase her. She stood against the man she built and exposed the truth the world refused to see. And so, the story Drew Martin tried to bury ended in a courtroom, his fame shattered, his lies undone. Kate lived, not just to tell the tale, but to remind the world that betrayal cannot silence truth. What does survival mean when the man you loved most wanted you erased? Is it enough to keep breathing? Or is it reclaiming your name, your story, and your power in a world that once believed you were gone? If this story shocked you, share your thoughts below. Could you forgive in Kate's place? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we bring you the stories others are too afraid to tell.